35.151 Buddha said, "Monks, this holy life is lived without students and without a teacher. A monk who has students and a teacher dwells in suffering, not in comfort. A monk who has no students and no teacher dwells happily in comfort." And how, monks, does a monk who has students and a teacher dwell in suffering, not in comfort? Here, monks, when a monk has seen a form with the eye, there arise in him evil, unwholesome states, memories and intentions connected with the fetters. They dwell within him. Since those evil, unwholesome states dwell within him, he is called one who has students. They assail him. Since evil, unwholesome states assail him, he is called one who has a teacher. Similarly, when a monk has heard a sound, smelled an odor, tasted a taste, recognized a touch, recognized a thought, and there arise in him evil, unwholesome states, memories and intentions connected with the fetters, and these unwholesome states dwell within him. Since those evil, unwholesome states dwell within him, he is called one who has students. They assail him. Since evil, unwholesome states assail him, he is called one who has a teacher. Let's stop here for a moment. So here, ordinary, unlearned person, willing, when the six senses are contacted by sense objects, evil, unwholesome states arise. So when evil, unwholesome states arise and dwell within him, because the unwholesome states dwell within him, they are called his students. But at the same time, because they assail him, meaning they attack him, they give him a lot of dukkha. So they are called a teacher. In fact, dukkha is our teacher. Dukkha is a very good teacher. If we go through life in an unskillful way, then we will have a lot of dukkha. This dukkha arises because whatever comes in contact with us through our six sense doors, we perceive it in the wrong way because we don't perceive it in the right way, and then they give us suffering. So when they give us suffering, then we start thinking, why am I suffering? Why am I suffering? And when you start asking questions slowly, you will get the answers. So because dukkha teaches us, so dukkha, these evil, unwholesome states that give us dukkha, is called a teacher. And how, monks, does a monk who has no students and no teacher dwell happily in comfort? Here, monks, when a monk has seen a form with the eye, there do not arise in him evil, unwholesome states, memories and intentions connected with the fetters. They do not dwell within him. Since those evil, unwholesome states do not dwell within him, he is called one who has no students. They do not assail him. Since evil, unwholesome states do not assail him, he is called one who has no teacher. Further, when a monk has heard a sound with the ear, smelled a smell, tasted a taste, recognized a touch, recognized a thought, and there do not arise in him evil, unwholesome states, they do not dwell within him, then he is called one who has no students. And since they do not dwell within him, so they do not assail him, do not attack him. So he is called one who has no teacher. It is in this way, monks, that a monk who has no students and no teacher dwells happily in comfort. Monks, this holy life is lived without students and without a teacher. A monk who has students and a teacher dwells in suffering, not in comfort. A monk who has no students and no teacher dwells happily in comfort. That's the end of the sutta. So these unwholesome states that arise within us, they can be considered students and we can be considered our teacher. That's why sometimes in some suttas the Buddha says a monk goes to dwell alone in a cave or up in a forest, in a hill and all that. But if he brings along this craving and all this unwholesome state within him, then he's not living alone. He's living with a partner. Next sutta is 35.152. Buddha said, monks, if wanderers of other sects ask you, for what purpose, friends, is the holy life lived under the ascetic Gautama, Samana Gautama? Being asked thus, you should answer those wanderers thus. It is, friends, for the full understanding of suffering that the holy life is lived under the Blessed One. Then, monks, if those wanderers ask you, what, friends, is that suffering for the full understanding of which the holy life is lived under the ascetic Gautama? Being asked thus, you should answer those wanderers thus. The I, friends, is suffering. It is for the full understanding of this that the holy life is lived under the Blessed One. Forms are suffering. It is for the full understanding of them that the holy life is lived under the Blessed One. Similarly, I consciousness, I contact, whatever feeling that arises, it is for the full understanding of all these that the holy life is lived. Similarly, the ear, for the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body and the mind, and for each of these sense organs, then you have for each the sense object, the sense consciousness, the contact and the feeling that arises. All that gives suffering. So to understand suffering, you have to understand all these sense bases. This, friends, is the suffering for the full understanding of which the holy life is lived under the Blessed One. Being asked thus, monks, you should answer those wanderers of other sects in such a way. At the end of the sutta. So here the Buddha is saying that the purpose of the holy life to understand suffering, where suffering comes from and how suffering can cease, and the path that will bring you to the cessation of suffering. So here, because this sutta is under the Samyutta dealing with the six sense bases, the Buddha is saying that suffering comes from the six sense bases. But in the previous Kanda Samyutta, where the chapter on the five aggregates, the Buddha will explain the similar way in reference to the five aggregates. Holy life is lived for the understanding of suffering, and where does suffering come from? From the body, feeling, perception, volition and consciousness. So to understand suffering, you've got to understand the five aggregates, then you will understand suffering. So here it's about the similar thing with the six sense bases. The next sutta is 35.160 on page 1218. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in Jivaka's mango grove. There he addressed the monks thus, monks, develop concentration. When a monk is concentrated, things become manifest to him as they really are. And what becomes manifest to him as they really are? The I becomes manifest to him as they really are, as impermanent. Forms become manifest to him as they really are, as impermanent. I consciousness, I contact, whatever feeling that arises becomes manifest to him as they really are, as impermanent. Similarly, the ear becomes manifest to him as it really is, as impermanent. Sounds become manifest to him as they really are, as impermanent. Ear consciousness, ear contact, the feeling that arises, all become manifest to him as they really are, as impermanent. And similarly for the other sense bases, develop concentration, monks. When a monk is concentrated, things become manifest to him as they really are. So here the Buddha is saying concentration is very important. That when you attain concentration, then things become manifest, becomes very clear as they really are. And what is it that we want to see very clearly? Here it says the I consciousness, I contact, I that forms, then I consciousness, I contact, and the feeling. And similarly for the ear, for sounds, for ear consciousness, ear contact and feeling, and for all the other sense bases. You will remember that we read a similar sutta under the Kanda Samyutta. There, instead of the six sense bases, the Buddha says, when you develop concentration, things become manifest. And what is it that becomes manifest? It's the five aggregates. You see them as impermanent, as suffering, as not self. The next sutta, 35.161. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in Divaka's mango grove. There he addressed the monks thus: Monks, make an exertion in seclusion. When a monk is secluded, things become manifest to him as they really are. And what becomes manifest to him as they really are is the same as the previous sutta. The I, the forms, eye consciousness, eye contact, feeling that arises. Similarly for the other sense bases, all becomes very clear as they really are. So here you see this pair of suttas we read before. It's also found in the Kanda Samyutta. The Buddha stresses on concentration and seclusion. As I mentioned before, seclusion, there are two types of seclusion, Kaya Viveka and Chitta Viveka. Kaya Viveka is body seclusion, that means being aloof from other people. And Chitta Viveka is mental seclusion, that means going into the mind and becoming secluded from all thoughts and all mental workings. In other words, you dwell in the mind and not in the world of the six senses. So, two things are always stressed by the Buddha: concentration and seclusion. The next sutta, 35.162. Then the Venerable Mahakotita approached the Blessed One and said to him, Venerable Sir, it would be good if the Blessed One would teach me the Dhamma in brief, so that having heard the Dhamma from the Blessed One, I might dwell alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent and resolute. Stop here for a moment. This Mahakotita is one of the famous arahants. So this sutta, since he has come to the Buddha for brief instructions to practice, must be before he was enlightened. And the Buddha said, Kotita, you should abandon desire for whatever is impermanent. And what is impermanent? The I is impermanent. You should abandon desire for it. Forms are impermanent. You should abandon desire for them. I consciousness is impermanent. Similarly, the feeling that arises, contact and all that. So similarly for the other sense bases, the sense organ, the sense object is impermanent. The sense consciousness, the sense contact, and whatever feeling that arises, all is impermanent. So the Buddha says, you should abandon desire for whatever is impermanent. But you think about it, everything in the world is impermanent. So because everything in the world is impermanent, everything in the world will give us suffering if we cling to it. So understanding this, we should let go of craving for these things. And not only that, we also must always remember that very soon we are going to die. And if we don't practice well, we're going to take a rebirth in a sorrowful place of rebirth. So it's the faster we practice, the better for us. Okay, 35.228, 228. It's on page 1226. The Buddha said, Monks, the unlearned, ordinary worldling speaks of the ocean, but that is not the ocean in the noble one's discipline. That is only a great mass of water, a great expanse of water. The I, monks, is the ocean for a person. Its current consists of forms. One who withstands that current consisting of forms is said to have crossed the ocean of the I with its waves, whirlpools, sharks and demons. Crossed over, gone beyond, the Brahmana stands on high ground. Similarly, the ear, monks, is the ocean for a person. Its current consists of sounds. One who withstands the current consisting of sounds is said to have crossed the ocean of the ear with its waves, whirlpools, sharks and demons. Crossed over, gone beyond, the Brahmana stands on high ground. Similarly for all the other sense bases. This is what the Blessed One said. Having said this, the Fortunate One, the teacher, further said, one who has crossed this ocean so hard to cross, with its dangers of sharks, demons and waves, The knowledge master who has lived the holy life, reached the world's end, is called one gone beyond. That's the end of the sutta. So here the Buddha says, to the ordinary person, the ocean is just the sea, the great expanse of water. But to a learned, noble disciple of the Buddha, the six sense objects is the ocean. And the current consists of the six sense bases, the six sense organs is the ocean. The current consists of the six sense objects. The six sense objects will have a lot of whirlpools and sharks and demons and waves and all this, storms and all that. That will come impinging on the six sense organs. And if you are not careful, you'll be drowned by all these sense objects and kill us also. So we know how to go across this ocean. Then the Brahmana stands on high ground. The Brahmana is a holy man. So the Buddha is telling us that our six senses, we have to be very careful. There's a lot of demons, waves and sharks and whirlpools all attacking us at the six sense basis through the six sense objects, forms. All kinds of forms will come in before your eye. All kinds of sounds will come to you. All kinds of smells, taste, touch, and thoughts. So it depends on you how you're going to react. If you don't know how to react skillfully, you'll get into big problem. So the Buddha is telling us that if we understand the Dhamma, then whatever these waves and demons and sharks and all that come, we just don't react. We know how to keep our mind equanimous. We don't have craving as well as we don't have repulsion, aversion. If we don't know how to steady our mind, as the earlier sutta we read, when you see pleasant objects, you crave for pleasant objects. When you see ugly objects, you are repelled by ugly objects. Similarly with sounds, you hear nice sounds praising you, you become so happy. When you hear sounds criticizing you, you get so upset. So similarly for smells, taste, touch and thoughts. So the Buddha says, if we have a bit of kung fu, then whatever comes to attack us, and we just brush it off, just don't react. The next sutta is 35.230. Monks, suppose a fisherman would cast a baited hook into a deep lake, and a fish on the lookout for food would swallow it. That fish who has thus swallowed the fisherman's hook would meet with calamity and disaster, and the fisherman could do with it as he wishes. So too, monks, there are these six hooks in the world for the calamity of beings, for the slaughter of living beings. There are, monks, forms cognizable by the eye that are desirable, lovely, agreeable, pleasing, sensually enticing, tantalizing. If a monk seeks delight in them, welcomes them, and remains holding to them, he is called a monk who has swallowed Mara's hook. He has met with calamity and disaster, and the evil one can do with him as he wishes. There are, monks, sounds cognizable by the ear, smells cognizable by the nose, taste cognizable by the tongue, touch cognizable by the body, and thoughts cognizable by the mind, that are desirable, lovely, agreeable, pleasing, sensually enticing, tantalizing. If a monk seeks delight in them, welcomes them, and remains holding to them, he is called a monk who has swallowed Mara's hook. He has met with calamity and disaster, and the evil one can do with him as he wishes. There are, monks, forms cognizable by the eye that are desirable, lovely, agreeable, pleasing, sensually enticing, tantalizing. If a monk does not seek delight in them, does not welcome them, does not remain holding to them, he is called a monk who has not swallowed Mara's hook, who has broken the hook, demolished the hook. He has not met with calamity and disaster, and the evil one cannot do with him as he wishes. There are monks, sounds cognizable by the ear, odors cognizable by the nose, taste cognizable by the tongue, touch cognizable by the body, thoughts cognizable by the mind. If a monk does not seek delight in them, does not welcome them, does not remain holding to them, he is called a monk who has not swallowed Mara's hook, who has broken the hook, demolished the hook. He has not met with calamity, and the evil one cannot do with him as he wishes. That's the end of the sutta. So here, just like the fisherman wanting to catch the fish, he puts a hook with a bait on it, like a worm or something, into the water, and the hungry fish will come and swallow the bait and get hooked. Then he's at the mercy of the fisherman. So similarly, Mara has put out 6 hooks for us. These 6 hooks with the bait. What is the bait? Forms, beautiful forms for us to see. Beautiful sounds to entice us. Beautiful smells and lovely taste and touch and thoughts. So if we are not careful, then we are going to enjoy these worldly pleasures. Then we are caught by Mara's hook. We become a slave to them. Then we cannot get free of the hook. We become a slave of Mara. And there are some people who are hooked very badly, like drug addicts, drunks and all that. So all these suttas are giving us warning that the world is not so pleasurable as you think. Not so enjoyable. You can enjoy first and then you pay for them with tears later. I think I'll stop here for the moment. Nothing to discuss. We're coming towards the end of the chapter, and the suttas are very interesting.
There are so in the world for the quantity of meat for the slaughter from killing, where you damage to the slaughter?
Kill you because if you are hooked by the 6 hooks, you'll be whirled around the samsara, the round of rebirths. You'll be slaughtered many times. You have to die many times in the round of samsara, cycle of birth and death.
When the 5 weaknesses are very strong, the mind is often very weak. So when mind is weak, it's very difficult to have the senses or look at this restraint.
Yes.
So this is like a vicious cycle.
Yes.
So maybe like a person who has very weak concentration, or people who are calm and vague, very restless mind. We are able to see for even 5 minutes. It's like possible to them. We are obsessed with everything, like we are obsessed with eating. So now when we go to eat, or we are obsessed with maybe we want to go and engage in another obsession that we have. So how do we break the first step?
When we go to school, we go to kindergarten, then we go to elementary school or primary school, then we go to secondary school, then we go to college or university, and after that we go to postgraduate for some people. So for people whose hindrances are very strong, and they are like students in the kindergarten or primary school, they have a long way to go. That means they have to do a lot of work. So there's no shortcut. No shortcut in life. There's some people you can see that they are just not spiritually mature. So there are some people, when you try to encourage them to come and listen to the Dhamma, they will refuse to listen. You try to teach them to abstain from certain unwholesome practices, they refuse to abstain. They have just not come to that stage, that level. So they will have to suffer more. When they suffer, then they will learn this. If we don't discipline ourselves, the world will discipline us. So we have to learn the hard way. Just like just now we read the sutta, you have unwholesome states of mind within you. That was going to be your teacher, make you suffer until you wake up. The easy way is to do chanting. Chanting is a long tradition in all religions, not only Buddhism. In Buddhism we do chanting like the Buddha. The first meditation the Buddha taught was actually chanting on the 32 parts of the body. And we can also chant like the Parita. You can chant like Buddho, Buddho, or we can chant Arahang, Arahang. We can chant Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa, or we can chant Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. So like in Hinduism, they have a lot of mantras for you to chant. And even in Islam also they chant. Even in Christianity also they chant. So it's a very universally recognized method to calm the mind. And that is the easiest way. In fact, this chanting is very powerful. If you try not to sleep at night, you try to chant, keep chanting, try to maintain your wakefulness. So that is one way, and then we have to use our own wisdom, depending on that person. He has to see his own problem, what is his problem, and how to deal with it. So sometimes we have to fight our weaknesses, have to meet it head on. If you don't have the courage to meet it head on, you don't have the strength to fight it, then you will forever be a slave of your weakness. When I was young, I was frightened by adults, made to be frightened of dark places. And especially when I went my parents to see Pontianak show, and after that, ghost show. After that, I remember for one continuous week, every night I had nightmares. So after that, I'd be afraid of dark places. But after I became a monk, then I went to Thailand in 1986. After 1 year in Thailand, I came back to Malaysia. And because I had seen forest monasteries in Thailand, then I also had this inspiration to look for quiet, secluded place to practice on my own. So I went to Ipoh and looked for caves. I went to many caves. I found that all the beautiful caves were taken up by people. So some devotees started to look for a cave for me. And they found one suitable cave behind Simpang Polai. But it was a very dark cave, totally dark, very dark. So when I first went into that cave, I dare not stay inside also. I had to stay the entrance there, actually the back entrance. I stayed in a higher place outside where it was bright. I stayed 2 nights there. And then I realized that it's not so comfortable. And there are 2 reasons why I like to stay in cave. One is it's very cool inside. On a hot afternoon or so, you feel cool inside. Secondly, it cuts out all the sound outside. You can't hear the traffic, you can't hear noise from houses and all that. Normally, of course, caves are away from houses also. So the first 2 nights I stayed at the rear entrance at the elevated place. Then I realized that it was not so comfortable because in the afternoons I'd be warm. The warm air will come, so it's not conducive for meditation. And then the second night I stayed there, I had a dream. A dream that some devas asked me to come, and they wanted to see who was this fellow sleeping there. And then I went to their presence and I saw these about 5 devas, and one of them was seated, the others were standing, and they all looked very, very, very nicely and very nicely dressed. They were like Indian devas. So the leader was seated. So when I went to their presence, they looked at me, and I looked at them. And after that, when I looked at myself, I found that I was exactly like them, like a deva. I was dressed up like a deva. Then I woke up. Then I realized they were trying to tell me they accept me as a member, that if I stay inside the cave, there'll be no problem. Then after that, I moved into the cave. I moved in that cave, and then I stayed there for 4 months. So after 4 months, I got used to dark places. I got no more fear of dark places. So that's the only way to fight your fear. So similarly, to fight our weaknesses, sometimes we have to bash it head on. If you cannot, then you have to use your wisdom, see how to deal with it stage by stage. If a person is kind of possessed, then he needs to do a lot of meritorious deeds to bring up the karma. That's one thing. One so called ji un quan. That's one thing. And then the place where that person stays also important. You stay in a place like a monastery, actually is very good, then the vibrations are good here. So it's not conducive for evil spirit to stay in such a place. Then when a person does meritorious deeds, like helping in the monastery and all that, he or she becomes happy. When you help others, and that's the result of skillful action, wholesome action that benefits others. You become happy yourself, and you become happy, then your state of mind slowly changes. A lot of people, because of not doing enough good karma, they tend to become depressed. I know some people, they like one person I know was not filial enough to the parents. So when the parents died, he got into depression. Probably he doesn't understand also. But I can see most likely due to that not doing enough for parents. So after parents have passed away, you will naturally regret. So such people, they have to do more good deeds, charity and all that. Then they become happier persons. After they become more happy, then the mind is quietened down. When the mind quietens down, then they can see things more clearly. If you are not happy, then the mind is very easily agitated. Small things will make you agitated. So that's why wholesome karma is very important. Very good for us. You see a lot of people who are miserable because they only think of themselves. A lot of people only think of their own problem. The more they think of their problem, the worse they become. On the other hand, there are some people who are smarter. If they have free time, they go and help others. Like a lot of Westerners, you see, they like to devote their free time to do charitable work, to do social work and all that. And by helping others, you get a lot of happiness. I have some sisters who have migrated to Australia. Now they are old. They also join these charitable organizations. Whenever people are sick and need help, sometimes need just somebody to talk to. A lot of old people, they're very lonely, especially in the West. They need somebody to talk to them. So my sisters go and sometimes talk to them, keep them company, and the old person becomes very happy, you got a friend to talk to. And that makes the person, like my sister, also very happy because you help people. So helping others is very, very important. You think you help others, actually you're helping yourself. Just like dana, sometimes like monks go begging for food. Sometimes monks, some people can see like the monastery is quite well supported. You don't go and the monk doesn't go and beg for food also, he will still get enough food to eat. But the Buddha taught monks to purposely go on alms round to give people the opportunity to do dana, to give the opportunity for people to get blessings. That's why in the Vinaya books, it is not allowed for a monk to stay alone in the deep forest and feed himself on roots, on fruits that have fallen from the forest, on leaves and all that. Not allowed. A monk must go and beg for his food or accept offerings in the monastery. So sometimes, like a monk does this, it's for the good of the people. Sometimes if people don't realize, they think the monk actually really needs the food or what. Sometimes it's not.
Talking about meditation, especially monastery like ours here, we practice a lot of meditation. So when we have a good sitting, in general, the vibration is very good and very powerful. So let's say we are not well, it's better for us to come out here, even though we don't sit in a chair and rest and get vibration.
Yeah, but in the monastery, I think the whole monastery is good vibration. Of course, it's good to sit in a group. When you have group sitting, the energy is very good. But if some people find it too difficult, then they allow. Except that for monastics, we are more strict. Once you wear the robe, you have signed a contract to practice the holy life as well as you can, at least for the duration that you are staying here. So that's why for monastics, people who wear the robe, I want all of them to sit here. But of course, if they want to do walking meditation, they can walk anywhere. But when it comes to sitting, they should sit together here. Okay, come and transfer Marin.